This is Overview of the Temporary Assistance Program. This training will provide a broad overview of temporary assistance policy regarding benefits and program requirements in order to increase program knowledge. This training is provided by the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance and the Professional Development Program through the Research Foundation for SUNY. We will review these topics. Let's begin by answering the question, what is temporary assistance? Temporary assistance, referred to as TA, is temporary cash assistance for needy men, women, and children in New York State. There are two major types of TA: family assistance, which is federally funded, and safety net assistance, which may be funded by federal, state, or local funds. There is also emergency assistance available in the form of emergency assistance to needy families with children, also known as EAF, emergency safety net assistance, or ESNA, and emergency assistance for adults, or EAA. We will review each of these types of TA in more detail in a moment, but first we will review how and where to apply for TA benefits. New York State is comprised of 58 social services districts. Each district represents a county, with the exception of the New York City district, which represents the 5 counties, or boroughs, of New York City. The New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, referred to as OTDA, is the state agency that oversees temporary assistance in New York. In order to apply for TA, individuals and families must complete the New York State application for certain benefits and services, also known as the Common Application, which is shown here. The Common Application can be found at each district office or printed from the OTDA website and can be used to apply for emergency assistance or ongoing assistance programs. In addition, the Common Application also offers applicants the opportunity to register to vote. There are also 3 informational books to assist applicants through the application process. They are Book 1, What You Should Know About Your Rights and Responsibilities, Book 2, What You Should Know About Social Services Programs, and Book 3, What You Should Know If You Have an Emergency. These books are available online. The Common Application is 28 pages in length, and it is called a Common Application because it can be used to apply for many different programs. On page 1 of the application, shown here, individuals choose if they want to apply for one or more of the following programs: TA, Child Care in lieu of TA, where parents eligible for TA can receive child care assistance instead of a TA benefit; SNAP, previously known as food stamps; Medicaid; services including foster care, child care assistance, and emergency assistance only. Households requesting emergency assistance will be interviewed and informed in writing about the decision regarding their emergency on the same day they apply. For ongoing TA, an interview will be scheduled within 7 working days. My Benefits is an online resource that includes a screening tool individuals can use to determine their potential eligibility for TA and other assistance programs. My Benefits provides information about TA, SNAP, and other OTDA programs and benefits, and allows current recipients to access information about their benefit accounts. Access NYC is a screening tool and method of electronic application that is available to New York City residents. Access NYC can be used to apply for SNAP and Medicaid and to access information on many other resources and benefits. As previously mentioned, there are different types of TA. Family assistance provides cash assistance to eligible needy families that include a pregnant individual or a minor child living with parents or a caretaker relative. Adults who are eligible for family assistance are limited to receiving benefits for a total of up to 60 months in their lifetime. Adults may qualify for a time limit exemption when a household member has a verified physical or mental impairment. Parents and other adult relatives who apply for or receive family assistance must comply with work requirements unless the individual documents that he or she is exempt from TA work requirements. As a further condition of eligibility, each person who applies for or is receiving family assistance is required to cooperate with applicable program requirements, including drug and alcohol abuse screening and cooperating with local social service district's Child Support Enforcement Unit unless the applicant or recipient has a good reason not to participate. Safety Net Assistance, called SNA, provides assistance to eligible single adults, childless couples, children living apart from any adult relative, families of individuals misusing drugs or alcohol, families of individuals refusing drug and alcohol screening, assessment, or treatment, individuals who have exceeded the 60-month limit on assistance, and non-citizens who meet the eligibility requirements for TA but who are not eligible for federal reimbursement. Individuals who apply for or receive SNA must comply with SNA work requirements unless the individual documents that he or she is exempt from TA work requirements. As a further condition of eligibility, each person who applies for or is receiving SNA is required to cooperate with applicable program requirements, including drug and alcohol abuse screening, and cooperating with the local social service district's Child Support Enforcement Unit, unless the applicant or recipient has a good reason not to participate. Individuals may receive cash SNA for a total of 24 months. After 24 months, if still eligible for SNA, the assistance is paid directly to the landlord or mortgage company, and then the utility and heating companies. Any grant remaining is issued as cash to the recipient. An emergency is an urgent need or situation that must be taken care of right away. Emergency assistance helps low-income individuals or low-income families pay for needs that cannot be met after pursuing all available resources. An emergency need may also be an immediate need if the need must be met the same day. Emergency assistance generally involves a one-time or short-term payment. Some examples of an emergency are being homeless, having little or no food, having a threat of eviction, not having fuel for heating during the cold weather period, having a utility shutoff notice or a 72-hour disconnect notice, or being in a domestic violence situation. Some examples of emergency assistance include, but are not limited to, payment of back rent, a past due utility bill, fuel and/or cost of fuel delivery, domestic violence shelter costs, and temporary housing, such as a hotel or motel. While anyone can apply for TA, including single individuals, there are some important eligibility rules regarding families, non-citizens, and non-parent caregiver cases that we will now review. We will start with families. Families, as defined by TA, include either a pregnant individual or a minor child. A minor child is defined as being under the age of 18 or under the age of 19 and a full-time student regularly attending high school or an equivalent level of technical or vocational training. TA rules dictate that in order to receive family assistance, parents must apply with their minor children, and minor children must apply with their parents. Non-citizens may be eligible for TA benefits if they are lawful permanent residents or if they have another qualifying immigration status, such as refugee, asylee, or other specific status. In some circumstances, a non-parent caregiver may be eligible for TA for a child only. In these cases, the non-parent caregiver income and resources are not used to determine eligibility. It is important to note that a relative caregiver, such as a grandmother, grandfather, aunt, or uncle, can receive family assistance, while a non-relative caregiver, such as a family friend, can only receive safety net assistance. Eligibility for TA is determined using a number of factors that must be verified. The applicant or recipient is required, whenever possible, to provide such verification through documentation. Some common forms of documentation are shown on the screen. Documentation can either be from primary or secondary sources. Primary source documents are original documents, official, and stable, meaning that they do not change with the circumstances. Primary sources of documentation, such as a birth certificate, only need to be provided once. Additionally, members of the household and public records are considered primary sources of information. A secondary source is less reliable and requires two sources for proof of certain eligibility factors. Statements from relatives, schools, and other collateral contacts are considered secondary sources of information. A collateral contact can be anyone who knows or interacts with a participant. In order to be eligible for TA, households must be under income eligibility thresholds, which compares their gross income less disregards to the standard of need and their gross income to 185% of the standard of need. The applicant's gross income also cannot exceed the federal poverty guidelines. The federal poverty guidelines are the official poverty measure for the United States and are used for administrative purposes, such as determining financial eligibility for TA. These guidelines are issued each year by the Department of Health and Human Services and can be found on the website shown here. Along with income guidelines, households must also meet certain resource limits. TA resource limits are the amount of real and personal property and assets that a TA household can have and still be eligible for TA. For example, in 2018, the maximum amount of resources any household could retain and still be considered eligible for TA was $3,000 for TA households where at least one member is age 60 or over, or $2,000 for all other TA households. A primary home and certain assets are not considered when determining TA resource limits. In order to calculate a TA grant, the household's needs are determined and then household income is subtracted from the needs. The resulting figure is the TA grant amount. To determine household needs, standard or maximum amounts based on household size are used for costs that a household typically incurs. These are referred to as allowances and include shelter, heating, utilities, and basic needs allowance or personal needs allowance. The allowance is only included in the household needs if the household actually incurs that cost. For households with earned income, there are two income disregards that may be applied to eligible earned income. The $90 income disregard, also referred to as the work disregard, and the earned income disregard, or EID. The EID, which is updated each year, but currently fluctuates around 50%, is applied to budgets of eligible TA recipients. This disregard is provided as an incentive for recipients to work. The EID is not provided to TA applicants unless they have children in the TA household or are pregnant, are working, are eligible for TA prior to the EID being applied, or have been in receipt of TA within the past 4 months. Once households have been determined eligible for a TA grant, they will receive their benefits on their Common Benefit Identification Cards, often referred to as EBT cards. This card is also used to access SNAP and Medicaid benefits. An EBT card resembles a credit or debit card and functions similarly. TA benefit amounts used or withdrawn by the household are automatically deducted from the cash account, and unused benefits carry over from month to month. Recipients are required to recertify their application form on a regular, recurring basis and be interviewed to determine if they are still eligible for ongoing assistance. In general, initial recertification occurs by the end of the third month following the month of initial eligibility, and ongoing recertification occurs every 6 months thereafter. In New York State, all applicants for and recipients of TA must participate in work activities as assigned by the district unless the district determines they are exempt. Individuals must comply with all work requirements in order to participate in the TA program and retain their eligibility to receive TA benefits. The main goal of employment is to assist TA participants in becoming economically independent through their participation in work activities. While districts have flexibility in employment procedures, there are certain requirements that are found statewide. One such requirement is the employment assessment. An employment assessment is the appraisal of a participant's strengths, resources, and support systems as they relate to securing and sustaining employment, taking personal responsibility, and realizing the potential for becoming self-sufficient. The assessment helps participants identify strengths, establish goals, make work activity assignments, identify necessary supportive services, and clarify responsibilities and requirements during the process. The outcome of the employment assessment is an individual employment plan for each applicant or recipient. So who is assessed? State and federal law requires that an employment assessment be conducted for each of the following members of a TA household with dependent children: all adult recipients and minor recipients who are 16 or 17 and are not attending or have not completed secondary school or the equivalent. An employment assessment will be conducted within 90 days of the eligibility determination, but may occur earlier if the assessment is a district eligibility requirement. For SNA households without dependents, an employment assessment will be conducted within 1 year of application for SNA. However, assessments are usually done within a shorter time frame in order to make appropriate work assignments. New York State laws and regulations exempt certain individuals from participation in work assignments. Individuals who are exempt are not subject to work activity for the period of their exemption, which is determined by the district. TA work exemptions include when an individual is ill or injured and unable to work for up to 3 months with medical verification, 60 years of age or older, under age 16, under age 19 and attending a secondary, vocational, or technical school full-time, disabled or incapacitated in accordance with disability and work limitation provisions, needed in the home to care for incapacitated household member and no other individual is available or appropriate to provide such care, pregnant and within 30 days of medically verified delivery date, or a parent or caretaker relative of a child under age 1. Applicants and recipients who are exempt from work requirements cannot be assigned to work activities for the period of their exemption. However, they may be required to participate in treatment or rehabilitation deemed necessary by a medical professional to improve their ability to work. Some examples of work activities that a non-exempt individual may be assigned to are on the screen, and include work experience, on-the-job training, job search, job readiness training, community service, vocational education, child care provider for community service participant, job skills training, educational training, high school equivalent, and/or other activities as approved by the district plan. All non-exempt individuals may be assigned one or more work activities for up to 40 hours per week in a manner consistent with state policies. This includes assigning work-limited activities as appropriate based on work limitations. Individuals who fail to participate in an assigned work activity without a good reason may have their TA benefits reduced or eliminated. This is called a sanction. The length of the sanction is based on state law and depends on the type of household, the act of noncompliance, the number of times the individual has been previously sanctioned, and where the individual resides. In New York City, all employment sanctions are non-durational and until the individual completes demonstrated compliance with their work assignment. Individuals are given an opportunity to explain why they did not comply with the assigned work activities prior to a sanction being issued. Supportive services refers to the services offered by districts to TA applicants or recipients. These services are meant to support them in participating in work activity assignments and obtaining, maintaining, or advancing in employment. The most common supportive services offered by districts include child care, transportation, and work-related expenses. We will review each of these common supportive services in more detail. For TA households with children aged 12 or younger, districts must guarantee child care assistance if the child care is necessary for an individual to participate in work activities assigned by the district. Individuals cannot be required to participate in the TA employment program if the cost of child care exceeds the allowable rates. Districts also offer transportation assistance. The availability and type of transportation assistance offered will vary by district and can include public transportation in the form of bus passes, Metro cards, or reimbursement for travel, or private transportation in the form of a car insurance payment, vehicle registration fee, or car repair. State policy requires districts to make diligent efforts to assist individuals who need transportation to get to and from assigned work activities. Districts also assist individuals with meeting work-related expenses in order to obtain or maintain employment, including the following: uniforms or appropriate work dress, professional license or fees, required tools or instruments, or training manuals. If work-related expenses are necessary for the individual to participate in an assigned work activity and support cannot be provided by the district, the individual may not be required to participate in that activity. When a recipient earns enough through employment that they no longer qualify for TA, their case will be closed and they will no longer receive cash assistance. Upon closing, a separate determination will be made by the district to determine the household's continued ongoing eligibility for other assistance programs, such as SNAP and Medicaid. If the household is not eligible for these other programs, they may receive transitional benefits. Transitional benefits provide assistance to TA participants whose cases have been closed due to excess income. The benefits are time-limited and designed to smooth the transition to economic independence. TA households whose cases are closing may be eligible for transitional SNAP, transitional medical assistance, and/or transitional child care. Overview of the Temporary Assistance Program provided an overview of TA policy regarding benefits and requirements with a focus on employment services to allow you to provide accurate information to customers regarding TA eligibility and work requirements, make appropriate referrals, and coordinate services with the Social Services District. If you would like further information about TA, please refer to these resources, OTDA and My Benefits. This completes overview of the Temporary Assistance Program.